Hello, my name is Roy Johnson and welcome to Acoustic RGJ. Today's video is really geared towards people that are looking to learn guitar for the first time, have no previous experience and are wondering what sort of guitar they should buy for themselves, or even parents whose children are thinking of learning to play the guitar, and again the same question arises: what is the best kind of guitar for them to start with? So in the video today we're going to be looking at the three different types of guitar. You can see one of each here. We've got a steel string acoustic guitar, nylon strung classical guitar and an electric guitar. So today's video we're going to just be talking in general about the differences between the three types of guitar, but in the comments below you'll see some links which will take you to some specific videos about each type of guitar and looking at each one in a bit more detail. Now obviously there's no right or wrong answer as to what kind of guitar a person should buy as a first guitar. So this is really just my kind of personal advice through having a few years of experience of teaching, and I hope it will help you on your way. Okay, so the first guitar we're going to look at today is the classical guitar, also known as the Spanish guitar. So the Spanish or classical guitar has been evolving since around about the 14th century, and as its name suggests is designed and developed for playing classical music. The guitar is made up of a fairly lightweight body, and it has nylon strings, so that's the main difference between a classical guitar and a steel strung acoustic guitar. So these top three strings, which are called the trebles, these are made out of nylon, and the bass strings are actually made out of a nylon thread wrapped in kind of a steel or nickel wire. The soft strings make the guitar a little bit easier to play for beginners. They're certainly lighter on the fingers, and also the neck width, that's from the top of the neck to the bottom of the neck, is about 10mm wider than on an acoustic guitar, which again provides a bit more space for fingers and helps prevent muting the strings. Generally speaking, the guitar is designed for playing fingerstyle music, more melody driven than strumming chords. You can strum chords on a classical guitar, but because the string width is slightly wider, it just doesn't quite give the same kind of percussive effect that you get from steel strings when strumming. And in terms of the sound itself, typically the sound of a classical guitar is warmer than say a steel strung acoustic guitar. If you'd like to hear a couple of tunes played on the classical guitar, please go to the classical guitar specific video and you'll find 3 tunes played to give you an idea of what a classical guitar sounds like. Okay, so moving on to the acoustic steel strung guitar, more popularly just known as an acoustic guitar. Don't get confused with the fact that a classical guitar isn't called acoustic. Acoustic just comes from the term that both guitars can be played audibly without amplification. It's just classical guitars are known as classical guitars, and acoustic guitars are known as acoustic guitars, albeit this one has steel strings. Okay, so the main difference between this and a classical guitar is, as I say, the strings are made of steel or nickel or kind of a bronze kind of combination. The strings tend to be a little bit more difficult possibly to press down, just because the tension of the strings themselves is higher. You'll also maybe notice that the neck is narrower than on a classical guitar, and that obviously goes the width of the strings all the way down to the bridge, which in itself makes it easier to kind of strum through a chord because you're not having to move your pick quite as far. And in general terms of the sound, you'd probably say that an acoustic guitar sounds a little bit brighter, arguably a little bit louder, which makes it ideal for playing in bands. So. Finally, the third in our set of 3 different types of guitar is the electric guitar. Everyone's familiar with electric guitars. They come in a huge variety of different shapes and sizes and brands. Basically, electric guitar tends to be solid bodied rather than hollow like an acoustic guitar, and it gets its sound is generated from something called a pickup, and the pickups basically generate a small electric current which then comes through some wiring in the body, through some volume and tone controls, out of the cable into an amplifier, and the amplifier makes that signal louder so you can hear the music. As per a steel strung acoustic guitar, an electric guitar has metal strings, and again similar to the acoustic guitar, the neck is relatively narrow. Again, the narrowest, in this case the narrowness of the neck, enables you to move very quickly from one string to another and to play chords with relative ease. As I said, for a more in-depth look at each type of guitar, please go to the videos specifically made for each type of guitar, and you'll see those in the links below. Okay, so we've had a bit of a walk through of the three different types of guitars, and I suppose I should really give a little bit of buying advice. I think from experience I would suggest that any beginner start with a nylon strung classical guitar. I think the strings are a bit more forgiving on the fingers, and the extra space between the strings makes playing chords a little bit easier and prevents kind of a lot of buzzing and muting of other strings. Having said that, if you're an out and out rock head, then yeah, go for an electric guitar. There's not really much point in trying to play rock guitar style on an acoustic or classical guitar, because you just won't get the vibe that you need to pursue that kind of playing. So anybody who tries to buy a guitar that hasn't got any experience is going to find it difficult. I think the advice for me would be, if you know someone that plays guitar, take them with you to a local music shop and let them kind of walk you through and try out one or two different instruments. If you don't know anyone, then go to a local music shop, maybe try one or two music shops and compare the advice that you get from each of the shop assistants there. Also try and get the shop assistant to play some music on the guitars that you've been looking at that are within your budget. Particularly the acoustic steel strung guitars, and to some extent classical guitars, they can all be kind of decorated differently, slightly different body shapes, slightly different woods. Use your ears to decide which one to buy and not your eyes. Even if it means getting an assistant to play 2 or 3 guitars while you listen to what he's playing with your eyes closed. That way you'll really be tuned into the instrument that you think has the best sound. If you do decide to start with an acoustic guitar, I would suggest you start off with a smaller bodied version. Acoustic guitars come in lots of different size bodies, from fairly small kind of parlour sized guitars right up to jumbos and dreadnoughts, and they can be quite difficult to get your arm around. So just from a kind of point of view of sitting comfortably and being at ease with the instrument, I'd go for a smaller body. Also, some guitars you may find are available in either half or 3/4 sizes. 3/4 size isn't a lot smaller than a full size guitar, but I wouldn't go down as far as a half size. Half size guitars tend to go out of tune fairly easily because the string tension is quite low. And also they don't have great sound reproduction, again for the same reason that they tend to have a lower string tension. And I suppose the final deciding factor is whether to go for a laminate or a solid body. I touch a bit more on this on my other video. Basically laminate is kind of like a plywood with a veneer over it, and arguably they don't sound quite as good as a solid body or a guitar made from a single sheet of solid wood. But arguably again they do tend to be a bit more robust, so for children for example they might be a better option. Also they tend to be a little bit cheaper. If you're useful, please subscribe to my channel. There'll be other videos coming your way soon. Tap the little bell icon if you want to be notified when they are available, and also add any comments in the comments box below.